Thanks. Great to meet you guys. Can't believe you guys get here so early on a rainy Monday morning. It's always an honor to speak to a group of people who are involved in education. My mother always secretly hoped, well, not so secretly hoped, that I would grow up to marry an educator. She was devastated when I wound up with a plastic surgeon. But anyway, my job at the Times is to review tech every week. The FedEx guy at my house knows my wardrobe and my children's names, and he delivers the stuff. I take a look at it, I write about it, and I return it. Which is the sad part. I have to return everything. But the bottom line is I'm at a sort of front row seat to see what's coming down the pike in technology and consumer technology. So today I want to talk to you about some of the most interesting shifts that I see happening, not just in individual gadgets, but in categories of gadgets. I got that image off of Google Images, never realizing until right now how much it makes me look like the cover of Dianetics. Anyway, it's always dangerous to make predictions about the future of technology, as I'm about to do. You inevitably wind up looking like an idiot. This is a prediction about the future of technology made in 1954 about the home computer 50 years hence. I don't know, in 2004, I don't know if you can read this caption, it's hilarious. With the teletype interface and the Fortran language, the computer will be easy to use. I love it. And what I want to know is, like, what's the steering wheel? What's that about? Is it like a cursor control module? I don't know. So there's a lot going on in technology. So I understand we have 14 hours for this talk, so we'll be covering all of it. No, actually, I'm just going to focus on a handful of the biggest things. One of them is the birth of these things, and I don't really know what to call them because they're not smartphones. A BlackBerry is a smartphone. These things are a completely new category. They have touch screens and they run apps, and oh, that's better. They have all kinds of sensors that a regular phone or a smartphone don't have. Tilt sensors, proximity sensors, ambient light sensors, and input and output, both audio and video. So they become something, not even a subset of a laptop, but like there's computers and there's laptops, and this is somewhere else on the triangle. I've been calling them app phones because that's to distinguish them from other kinds of phones. And this is really where all the interesting stuff in computing is going on as I see it. I can't remember the last time I reviewed one of those for my Times column. It's just all development is completely stopped on regular desktop computers. I will admit that this was not my best column. This was in late 2006. I wrote why Apple would never develop a cell phone. Oops. But my prediction was wrong, but my thinking was absolutely right. At the time, the cell phone carriers, Verizon, AT&T, and so on, held a stranglehold on the design of cell phones. So if you were a company who made cell phones, you could go to Verizon and say, hey, we have this great idea or this great feature, and Verizon would go, no, I don't think so. Off with you. And the cell companies wanted all the menus to be alike across all the cell phones and so on, and so they had veto power over every design innovation. And needless to say, this was not conducive to developing exciting new breakthroughs in cell phones. And so I knew that Steve Jobs, this egomaniacal baby, would never allow Verizon to tell him what features he could or could not put in a cell phone. I knew that was unthinkable. And so what I didn't anticipate was what Jobs did, which was that he knew that, and he went to each of these carriers and said, I got a deal for you. If you will leave us alone and not have veto power, I know this is unusual, but I will give you an exclusive on our cell phone for 5 years. And in fact, not only will you not have veto power, I'm not even going to show it to you until it's done. And Verizon laughed him out of the building, famously. They're like, are you nuts? Do you not know how things work? And then AT&T laughed him out of the building, Sprint, T-Mobile, and finally Singular said okay. And I love thinking about this, the CEO of Singular, this guy named Stan Seligman, like lying awake every night for 2 years, like ripping his hair out, you know, what if it sucks? What have I done? You know, and his wife, would you just take an Ambien for God's sake? You know, but sure enough, Stan Seligman did not see the iPhone until 2 weeks before the public did. That's absolutely true. It's totally amazing. And of course, now everything changed. Now it became a big hit, and everybody else is making app phones, and a category was born. But such a great story. There was, I don't know if you guys know Monty Python, but there's this famous Monty Python skit where there's a joke writer sitting up in his little poor cold attic, and he's like writing. His floor is filled with crumpled papers, and he writes a joke, and he's like, no, and he throws it down, and then he's like, he writes a joke. He looks at it. He goes, and he dies. And his wife comes in and sees him clutching the body clutching this piece of paper, and she picks it up. And she dies. And so pretty soon it became apparent that he wrote a joke that's so funny that it kills you. And so the British government takes the joke and divides it up word by word into different translation teams, and has it translated into German one word at a time. But no teams can combine their words, or they might be seriously injured. So they teach the British soldiers how to shout out the joke in German. And so you have a scene on the battlefield where they're all in the foxholes, or what you call them, and they're like, "Ich habe keine Schnell!" You know, they're like shouting out this joke in German, and then you look out and you see the jungle, and you see these Germans like laughing and falling out of the trees, dying, and it's so funny. And then they cut to the end where Hitler is trying to develop his own joke, and they have this footage of, you know, the goose-stepping military parades, and there he is, Hitler is on the podium going, blah, 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 in German, and the subtitles say, "My dog has no nose." And all the masses say, "How does it smell?" And Hitler says, "Terrible." That's his joke. Well, anyway, why did I get into that? Oh, I know. Because it reminds me of how Apple did the iPhone without anyone at Singular knowing what it was. They literally divided it up among Singular teams. Like, you guys are going to work on the network part. You guys are going to do the visual voicemail part. You guys are going to do whatever. And none of the teams ever saw what anyone else was doing. In fact, Apple actually wrote an entire different OS. Not OS, but UI, a user interface. An entirely different user interface that they gave Singular to think that it was what it was going to look like, just to fake them out. It was just an unbelievable thing. Although, did you hear about the lost iPhone 4G? Oh my God, so embarrassing. So anyway, so the iPhone came out, and it was, yeah, the two on the right are just artist conceptions. The iPhone Nano and the iPhone Shuffle. Although you guys got to go on YouTube and look up iPhone Shuffle. Somebody did this parody video ad that's so funny. It's a guy with an iPhone Shuffle that looks like the iPod Shuffle, the little square one. And he's like, "The new iPhone Shuffle. It only has one button. Press the button, it dials a number at random. Hello? Who the hell is this?" It's like so funny. Yeah. "Use pinch and zoom technology to surf the web." It's a T. It's hilarious. So anyway, so the iPhone came out, and it was a huge mega hit. And if you think about it, the iPhone has just an unbelievable hardware setup. And the fact that it's in your pocket and with you all the time just makes, oh dear, I'm getting chopped off stuff. But anyway, it has a compass and you know, tilts up proximity centers. So it makes possible all kinds of things. But the real magic happened when they opened it up to apps, when average people could write their own software for this thing. And some of these things are just unbelievable, and because they are apps that could not exist on a computer or a cell phone. They could only exist on an app phone. And here's a classic example. Do you know about Ocarina? This thing is unreal. So this California music professor wrote this thing in his spare time, and in the first year, he sold 1.5 million copies of this app. at $1 a pop. A music professor in his spare time became a millionaire. And basically, what it does is it simulates an ocarina, which is a South American wind instrument, traditional wind instrument, by you put your fingers on these holes, just like a flute. You learn to finger it, and you blow into it. So tilting makes the vibrato and all that. And so there's sheet music. There's 2,500 pieces of ocarina sheet music on the web. And there's videos of people, like there's these virtuosos who get really good at it. Go on YouTube and look up Ocarina Stairway to Heaven. You got it. It's these 4 college kids sitting cross-legged on the floor playing this 4-part harmony version of Stairway to Heaven on their ocarinas. It's unreal. But this is the coolest thing. So you hit this little globe at the bottom, and you see a little Google Earth, and it tunes in to somebody playing right now. Well, he's playing A Whole New World from Aladdin. A whole new world, you know. A whole. So you can see by the map that this is coming from Japan. This guy's playing in Japan. It's always those Asian kids who are the best musicians. So I hit the next button. Now this is coming from Europe. Looks to be Italy. You know, practicing. I hit the button again. The globe spins. Okay, we're back on American turf. All right, it's hard. I admit it's hard. But, I mean, this is amazing. We're listening in to people all over the world. If everybody had this app, there would be no more wars. Right? It'd be like, they're just like me. They just suck at the fingering as badly as I do, you know. I just think that's totally, completely amazing. So, 1.5 million copies in a year, the guy became a millionaire. And so, you want to know what he came up with as an encore? This is hilarious. Oh, here's Stairway to Heaven. Anyway, so what he came up next is I Am T-Pain. Do you know what this is? So T-Pain is a rapper who became famous. Well, his one thing is that he uses auto-tune. Auto-tune is an audio effect that first came to prominence when, well, it started out as a way to correct off-key notes sung by pop singers, and you would not believe, well, you would believe, who needs auto-tune to help, you know, Britney Spears, whatever. So they fix her in post when she's off-key, but if you turn auto-tune up too much, it will round off every note you sing to the nearest half step on the piano, you know, black note or white note, and it'll sound like Cher, you know, do you believe in love after love? You know that song that she did? Yeah, so that's auto-tune. And so now you can auto-tune yourself, right? Because that guy, Ge Wang is his name, the music professor, wrote this as a follow-up. And this is a clip from Jimmy Kimmel that shows what you can do if you apply it to pre-recorded stuff.
So, Mr. President, what would your health plan do for America?
It provides health insurance to people who don't have it.
Well, that sounds good, Mr. President, but tell you what, could sound a whole lot better. What do you think?
Basically, we've got 80% agreement.
We got 80% agreement.
The 47 million Americans who don't have any health insurance at all.
No health insurance at all.
I'm not the first president to take up this cause, but I am determined to be the last.
Determined to be the last.
Doctors, patients, hospitals, wasting money,
your money,
healthcare,
Medicare,
pharmaceutical industry, diabetes, foot amputation. When are we going to say enough is enough?
When enough is enough is enough.
Thank you. God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
Too funny, man. So anyway, but it's not just about the iPhone, because the iPhone gave birth to a whole range of app phones. The Droid, the Palm Pre, Blackberries now take apps. They all have their own app stores. This was hilarious. In the wake of the iPhone proving that allowing phone designers to have control over the design, imagine that. Verizon made this shocking announcement. I love this Wired magazine headline: "Pigs fly, hell freezes over, and Verizon opens up its network." No, really. Verizon said, now you can use any phone, any CDMA phone. You don't have to pick from our store, and so on. So astonishing changes all caused by this thing. And now there's an app store for every different one of these categories. So a new category, the iThing. The next big interesting trend is what happens when ordinary cell phones meet the internet. There's all kinds of cool, like, behind-the-scenes experiments that have been going on here that not a lot of people know about. I don't know if you're aware of this, but when you dial 411 on your cell phone, they charge you $2. Did you know that, to get it to look up a number? It's like ridiculous. $2? It's like, dude, I could Google it if I had Google in 2 seconds. So the way you fight back is you use like 800 Goog 411. This is totally amazing. It's free, unbelievably accurate voice recognition version of directory assistance. So let's say I'm in Lancaster, and do you guys say Lancaster or Lancaster? Which is it?
Lancaster.
Lancaster? Okay. It's like you don't say New Orleans, you say New Orleans. Anyway, so I've got Google. So let's say I'm in Lancaster, and I need to find a, what, dry cleaner, drugstore, what, pizza, giant, what, massage parlor. Give me an example that you know is not canned. So no one can think of something you might want to look up. Veterinarian, excellent. Okay, so I have it on my speed dial, as well should you. And I will put it on speaker so you'll hear this whole transaction.
Calls recorded. Google. Say the business and the city and state.
Veterinarians, Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Veterinarians, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Top 8 results. Number 1. Smoketown Veterinary Hospital on Rank Mill Road. Number 2. Nevsville Veterinary Clinic on Lidditz Pike. Number 3. Vet Emergency.
Number 2. Yes, we have 150 golden retrievers that are. Oh, no, sorry. Anyway, so the amazing thing about that was, you may have noticed he never gave me the number. He never gave me the number. Why do I need the number? So I can dial it. But he connects you for free. He said, number 2, I'll connect you. And I was connected. So he didn't give me the number. I didn't have to write down the number. I didn't do this thing while I'm driving. You know, that's all gone now. It's like your personal valet who looks up whatever number you want for free. And it's completely amazing and completely accurate, as you could tell. And every now and then he'll totally shock you. I live in Connecticut, and I took my wife to New York for a Broadway show, and it got out really early. We were like on the street by 9:45. And so we're like, well, we're here in the city. We have a babysitter. What should we do? And she's like, comedy club? And I'm like, okay, that'd be fun. Like, we're in the middle of Manhattan. Where do we find a comedy club, like, right now? Google Voice. So called him up, and he goes, I said, comedy clubs, New York City. He goes, comedy clubs, New York City. Where in New York City? And I'm like, 56th and Broadway. 56th and Broadway. Comedy clubs. Number 1, Caroline's, 57th and Broadway. Number 2, like, are you kidding me? Number 1, Caroline's, I'll connect you. Caroline's, what time is your next show? 10 o'clock, sir. Okay, thanks. I'm like, I love technology. This is like amazing. So like we went around the corner and saw a comedy club. It was fantastic. So that's a way to fight back. This is also really amazing. I don't know if you know about this thing. This is called Cha-Cha. You dial this 800 number. On this one, you ask any question at all. When's the last flight out of Chicago? Who won the 1958 World Series? Why is the sky blue? Whatever it is. And in a minute, you will get a text message back with the answer for free. So it's 800 2-cha-cha. These are actual tests that I did. So which actors have played James Bond? And then this is what I got back. It's absolutely correct. And then I tried to freak it out by like using a weird, like I was like Valley Girl. Like, what's that word that means, you know, like when the sun, the moon, and the earth are like on a line? And sure enough, it's a syzygy. And I guess this is how they're generating income with a one-line text ad at the bottom. And it's so good, it's almost as though there's an army of like real people on the other end of the line listening to your question and then looking it up on Google for you, which is exactly how it works. They have 10,000 freelance or ordinary people who just sit there whenever they have time, put in a few hours answering questions. And they're paid 20 cents an answer. And as you can imagine, it tends to be college kids or retired people or former Wall Street executives. But it's completely amazing, and you should totally get into it. The other thing that really drives me crazy about cell phones is when I call you to leave a message, I hear you say, "Hi, it's Bob, leave me a message," and then I get 15 seconds of instructions. You know, you may begin speaking at the tone. To page this person. You know, page this person? What is it, 1975? Nobody has pagers anymore. You know, when you have finished recording, you may hang up. No. I thought, you know, I've only had answering machines for 40 years. I thought I would just sit here. So this is the answer. Well, actually, first the answer is I undertook this enormous campaign called Take Back the Beep last fall, where I tried to get all my readers on Twitter and my blog and New York Times to harangue the carriers into letting us make those messages optional. And we did have some success. I'll talk about that in a second. But anyway, in the meantime, you fight back by signing up for a voice-to-text service that turns all your voicemails into typed text that come to you as email or as text messages to your phone. Text is so much better for messages than listening to it because you can read them in any order, random access. You can copy and paste them, forward them. You can search them. You can archive them. You can skim them. They're so much better than regular voicemail. And then you get the audio recording, you know, stapled to the bottom in case there was some part of it that it couldn't understand. You'll see a little question mark on some of these services if it couldn't understand. Google Voice, not the same as the Google Info. Google Voice, first there were like these $10 a month services like Spinbox and Phone Tag and CallWave. CallWave is interesting because I always wanted to know how they're doing this, right? Like, is somebody listening to my voicemail, which is creepy? And the other two, like Phone Tag and Spinbox, say, "Oh, we use a proprietary B2B best-of-breed solution," blah, blah, blah. Like, what does that mean? Basically, I think it's like a bunch of guys with headsets in India being paid $1 a day, you know, listening to that isn't a particularly racist remark. I actually tried out Phone Tag, and on the first day I got 2 messages. One was from this guy, Michael Stevenson, and they misspelled his name. That shouldn't be too hard. But I also got a message from my video producer at the Times, whose name is Vijay Singh, with a silent H at the end. Nailed that one. So, but CallWave insists that nobody is listening to your messages. They insist that it's purely software, and they also insist that they will transcribe only the gist of each voice message. So I thought, well, this should be interesting. So here's me trying CallWave. Hello, this is Michael. Hope you're doing well. I'm fine here. Everything's good. Hey, I was walking along the street and the sky was blue and your daughter broke her leg at soccer practice. I'm going to have a sandwich for lunch. She's in emergency room 53W. Okay, talk to you later. Bye. And now we wait. Okay, so a couple minutes later, I got the transcription, which looked like this. Hope you were doing well. I'm fine. Everything's good. I was walking along the street. Sky's blue. So very good transcription. But the cell phone version, the text message version, of course, has to be much more concise, 160 characters max. So that one was indeed, I mean, that had better be like the gist of the gist, right? So I kid you not. The message said, walking along the street and sky was blue and emergency. What the, so not quite as good. But now you don't have to pay $10 a month because Google Voice, which is a free service, does this automatically. Google Voice has a lot of other crazy features, and you can read about it. Look at my column on it in the New York Times. Basically, they give you a new free phone number that, when dialed, rings all your other phones at once. Your home phone, your work phone, your cell phone. And the beauty of that is people no longer have to hunt you down, right? I left a message for your work. I'll try your cell. That's over. And you also have a single centralized source for all your voicemails, and a million other features like you can say don't ring this phone after work hours. You can slice and dice stuff, but it also has free voicemail transcription. As you can see, they use the degree of gray to show you how confident it is about each word's transcription. So the black words it's sure of, the other ones not so much. But it's almost always enough to get the gist of it, the gist, without having to listen to it. So total life changer, and all of these features are available on any cell phone, just by combining the cell phone with the internet. The third mega trend is Web 2.0, and a lot of people have different definitions for Web 2.0, but my definition is this. Web 1.0 is this. It's, we write stuff, we put it up, you come and read it. We report, you decide, but you keep your thoughts to yourself, right? So Web 2.0 is the audience provides all the material. The owner of the website doesn't write anything. So this is Facebook, and this is this woman, and this is her page. And if you took away everything that she put there, you'd be left with that, right? They just provide a shell, and everything else is provided by the actual members, which has had this enormous mega effect on the internet and made a lot of people very rich. For example, last year Microsoft bought 1.6% of Facebook for $240 million. They bought that pixel. And if you do the math, you will discover that that would put the entire value of Facebook at $15 billion, which, for a company with no revenue and no meaningful plan to make any is like pretty amazing. And the irony is I interviewed the guy who runs Facebook and started it, Mark Zuckerberg, and how should I put this? The king of social media is himself somewhat socially challenged, let's just say. He was the worst interview ever. I was like, so, did you ever anticipate that the blossoming peer-to-peer nature of the Web 2.0 universe would affect you in this way? No. What do you see for the future? I don't know. Great. Although, ever since he became a trillionaire, his social life is, okay. But there's a lot of other really great examples. This is Craigslist. This is free classified ads in every category, help wanted, for sale, whatever, in every town. It's absolutely amazing. I use it all the time. And they say that this is what's putting the American newspaper out of business, because newspapers used to get 40% of their ad revenue from classifieds. And now you'd be an idiot to put an ad in the paper. This is so much more effective and free. And I don't know if you're aware of this, both the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal in the last year have actually gotten smaller by an inch in each direction. Did you know that? The actual printed paper size has shrunk by an inch. 5 years from now, it's going to be like, hey, the Sunday Times. But anyway, Wikipedia, whoever thought this thing would fly? I mean, an encyclopedia where any idiot can say anything they want about anything. It's like there's this great Simpsons episode where Bart and Homer are driving along, and Homer says, you know, Bart, they say Frank Sinatra was a one-take wonder. He would record a song only once and get it perfect. And Bart says, yeah, I don't know, Dad. I read on Wikipedia that he was a perfectionist and he'd do it 20 or 30 times until he got it right. And Homer says, Wikipedia said that, huh? Well, we'll fix that when we get home. It's hilarious, but it works because idiots do come along and they do try to mess it up. And then what happens is other people come along after him 3 minutes later, see it, and fix it. And so it's this self-correcting thing. And after a while, the idiots sort of give up. And they're like, well, it's not even going to stick, so I'll just... there was actually a study that compared article by article the accuracy of Wikipedia with the accuracy of the Encyclopedia Britannica. And there's only a 1.5% difference in accuracy. Wikipedia was only 1.5% more accurate than the Encyclopedia Britannica. It's amazing. I used to love Reader's Digest. Did you hear it folded last year? So sad. I used to read the joke columns, and there were two categories of joke columns. One was like regular jokes, like a duck walked into a bar, and the others were real-life anecdotes. And there's this one submitted by a college librarian that just cracked me up. This is a true story. So this freshman walks into her library and says, whoa, what are all those matching books on the shelves? And she says, well, those are the encyclopedias, son. And the kid goes, oh, man, somebody actually printed out the whole thing? So things are changing. This is Flickr, where everybody puts their pictures up for everyone to see. This is YouTube, where people put their favorite video clips to see. This is another unbelievable Web 2.0 story. I don't know if you're tracking this, but these two guys came up with YouTube and sold it to Google 1 year later for $1.7 billion. So next time you guys are feeling, overpaid and overaccomplished, just remember that. So $1.7 billion, 12 months later, and then this is a screen capture from a video on YouTube of them discussing the sale. And I thought I'd watch it. I thought it'd be like, we exploited the interactive nature of the... No. They were like, woohoo, 1.7 billion, yeah! Shut up, man. I think the money should be held in escrow until these idiots are 50. My son was brushing his teeth one night when I was telling him about this sale, hoping to, instill that entrepreneurial spirit. And he goes, Dad, why don't you have an idea like that? You first, brat. Anyway, so those are some of the famous ones, but there's a lot of little ones that use the same mechanism, again, to accomplish incredible feats that never have been possible in human history. This is DoMyStuff.com. It's this incredible time for money swap. Basically, you list some grunt work that you want done. It can be, stand in line for me at the Department of Motor Vehicles, or clean my gutters, or teach me French, or pick up my kid, whatever it is. And people bid to see who can do your work for the least money. It's like, oh my God, thank you. So like the bane of my existence for my job is packing up the stuff I reviewed and shipping it back. You guys, I am reviewing this week apps that make your cell phone unable to text or do phone calls while your car is in motion, right? They're safety apps. And, oops, I managed to lose all 7 phones. And so they have sent me 7 phones, one with each of these apps pre-installed. And it was hilarious because on the train here from Connecticut yesterday, I was trying to carry on a conversation, and my iPhone battery died, and so I'm like, oh shoot, I have to finish this conversation. What am I going to... Oh my God, I got 7 cell phones in my bag. What am I, an idiot? Here we go. You're in motion. Cannot make a call. Oh. You're in motion. Oh, jeez! Oh my God! I had 7 phones. I could not make a frickin' phone call. I'm on a train! I'm not driving! Anyway, so the bane of my existence is packing up all that stuff when the review is done and sending it back to the company. So you have to find the discs and the manuals and these stupid charging cables and the stupid foam end pieces and fit it all back somehow. So after years of this, the Times finally said that they would be willing to hire someone to come to my house and do the packing for me, which is like, yay. So I went to do my stuff, and I put up an ad, said, come over every other week and pack up stuff and FedEx it back. And the kid, 18-year-old college kid, I'll do it for 18 an hour. Another kid, I'll do it for 15. Another kid, I'll do it for 12. Sold! The kid will do it for 12. And, you know, he comes over every other week, and he's meticulous and quiet and nice and does a great job, and everybody's happy. This is Prosper.com, another great example. This is where you make micro loans to very small businesses. So some guy in Chicago wants to open up a bodega or a sewing machine repair store, I don't know, and you look over their business plans and you decide who might be worth. So instead of this guy paying 21% on his credit card, he's paying you 14% directly, no bank. And instead of you earning nothing on your savings account, you're getting 14%. So everybody wins in a way that never would have been possible before. This is GoLoco.org. It's a glorified carpooling database. So let's say I'm going to the airport tomorrow, and maybe you are too. And maybe you live 3 doors from me. But we have no way of knowing that. We have no way of comparing notes. So we both get in the car. We both pollute. We both clog the highways. We both waste time and money in parking. So basically here you list where you're going. It can be a one-shot thing like shopping on Friday, or it could be a regular commute, whatever. And then other people sign up to join you. And they pay you a couple of bucks as an incentive for you to have the car clean and on time. And again, everybody wins. This is part of the British government website. It's called epetitions.com. And it lets anyone start a petition about anything. So it could be, fix this pothole on my street, or it could be get out of Iraq, whatever it is. And the petitions are not binding, but it does let everybody keep tabs on what the public cares about, and does indirectly put pressure on the government. I think it's a really cool idea. My favorite of all, though, is this: who is sick.org. I have 3 kids, and every morning they get on that school bus and 3 little cotton swabs going off to the petri dish. Because they come home with the most exotic bugs, and is it just me, or are the bugs so much nastier now than when we were kids? I mean, anyway, so they come back with, and my daughter starts vomiting, and then by evening she's got diarrhea, and we're supposed to leave on a trip in a couple days, so take her to the vet, and the vet's oh, too much information about my parenting style. Take her to the pediatrician, and the pediatrician says, oh yeah, that's going around. I had 30 of this in my office yesterday. Well, it's like, if I could have known that, would have really helped. And he'll say, 2 days of diarrhea, then she'll be fine, whatever. And so basically the idea here is you click off your symptoms, bloody stool, blurred vision, clammy skin. It's like me on a good day. And then it collates this data, and you sit back and you watch the bugs drift over your neighborhood. Fantastic. Anyway, so those are some cool developments in Web 2.0. So what does all of this mean? Well, if you look over the grand scheme of things, first of all, one thing I've noticed in life is that technologies don't replace other technologies mostly. They just add on. Right? So movies didn't kill radio, and TV didn't kill movies, and satellite radio didn't kill terrestrial radio, and even LPs or vinyl records are making a comeback. This is in the beginning, if we wanted to just keep track of what's going on in the world, it was books, newspapers, and TV. But now there's so many other sources, the websites and wikis and RSS feeds, and I don't know what those bottom right things are. I just made them up, but they'll come. It's funny. While I was waiting for this event to begin, I was reading this issue of Esquire, and I swear to God, tell me if I'm wrong. There's an ad by the magazine industry in here. Oh shoot! Now I won't be able to find it. Where they said, okay, tell me if this guy, this copywriter, did not attend one of my talks. It said, think of this is an amazing fact. During the 12-year life of Google, magazine readership actually increased 11%. The internet is exhilarating, but magazines embrace you. And magazines are growing. What it proves once again is that a new medium doesn't displace an existing one. Just as movies didn't kill radio, just as TV didn't kill movies, as an established medium can continue to flourish. So it's like, dude, that's my line. Anyway, but it's true. And so another major effect of what we've seen is that for the incoming generation, and I'm sure the kids in these school districts will tell you this, everything has to be real time, right? So I actually heard it has to be Twitter or chat or instant message or texting. I actually heard a woman at the local PTA telling a friend, so I said to my daughter, honey, how come you're not answering my emails? And my daughter said, oh, Mom, nobody does email anymore. It's like, nobody does email anymore? What am I, 90? I mentioned earlier my Take Back the Beep campaign where I was trying to get the carriers to eliminate their 15 seconds of instructions. And at the time, I had a summer intern, a 19-year-old college kid who'd come over to my house every day. And he helped me work on this, but he would always go, okay, but I don't get it. I'm like, what don't you get? He goes, nobody does voicemail anymore. It's like, what do you mean nobody does voicemail anymore? It's like, you look at your phone, there's your name, there's what time you called. I don't need a voicemail saying, it's David and I called. It's like, it's right there in the call log. Obviously you called, and if I want to call you back, I will. So it was like completely over his head why anyone would leave him a voicemail. And I have to say I'm sort of embarrassed now that, well, that is kind of a point. Another interesting thing about the upcoming generation is that they really, as have been often noted, do not care that much about privacy of the sort that our generation and previous generations cared about. They will, Facebook and Twitter, that's what it's about. It's about, just broke up with that loser boyfriend, or, just got back from the Department of University Health, all clear. It's like, that's oversharing. There's also an ego component to all this. Facebook, how many friends do you have? And Twitter, how many followers do you have? It's a sort of a badge of honor. In fact, interestingly, if you combine these three factors, speed and ego minus privacy, that is Twitter. So I assume you guys know what Twitter is. They now have, I think, 150 million members. You send out these little text messages, but instead of just going to to a phone, it goes to as many people's phones or computers as have signed up to get your utterances. And so on your end, you sign up to follow a bunch of people, and you see these little blurbs appear on your screen all day. And once I built up enough followers, I use Twitter all the time for my own ends. I'll seek jokes or seek people to be in my videos, or I'll do live demos of Twitter, like in front of an audience like this one, in real time. I actually had a great experience in February when I tweeted that I was going to San Diego for winter break, and all these people would write me back, and they'd go, oh, you should take the kids here, you should eat here. And one guy said, well, I have a hot air balloon company in San Diego, you should bring the family. And so here we are. That's the guy, that's us, those are my kids. It was a phenomenal experience. It never would have happened without Twitter. And normally you have to pay a lot of money for those hot air balloon rides. And I did, but it was really fun. When this came out, when Twitter debuted, the web was filled with all these rules. Don't Don't promote yourself. Do promote yourself. Don't tweet too often. Don't not tweet enough. And I actually met the founder of Twitter at a conference one time and mentioned this to him. He goes, "Oh, I hate that. It's like, do you send around websites with rules for using the telephone? Do you have rules for sending mail? It's just a channel. There are no rules. You use it how you want to use it. You can use it for business. You can use it for romance, whatever you want." And I totally believe in that. I actually, Twitter changed my life in the biggest way once when I was demoing it live in front of an audience. And I thought I would demo it like this. So I need a cure for hiccups right now. And in seconds, people started writing me back with all the usual, folk remedies, hold your breath and so on, but also with really funny, witty things. They're like, just hold your breath until Windows 7 comes out. Or check your 401k. That'll scare the hiccups right out of you. There's got to be something in the App Store for that by now. And then I take large sips of bourbon. It doesn't stop the hiccups, but I stop caring. And I was amazed by that because I'm not used to strangers on the internet being that literate and funny and knowing where to put the apostrophe in the word "it's." I'm used to seeing what's on Facebook and YouTube, just morons with a third-grade education. So, have you seen the comments on YouTube? They're like, "That's so gay." "Yeah, well, you're a gay tard." "Well, you're a fag." It's like, this is discourse? It's like, my God. But statistics show that Twitter is a completely different world. The average age on Twitter is 35. The average age, the average income, $75,000. It is a totally different internet. The people on it are completely different. It's amazing. So after this hiccup thing, I went home and told my wife what had happened. And without batting an eyelash, she goes, "Well, you know what you should do? You should ask a question like that every night and then collect the funniest answers in a book." And I thought, that is a really good idea. So there it is. And it took 3 months, and these people did not disappoint me. They are so funny. It's an art form, being hysterical in 140 characters. So I would say, compose the subject line of an email that you really, really don't want to open, and they would send me back things like, "To my former sexual partners as required by law." Or, "What seems to have been your car." From your publisher. Subject, "Ha, good one. Could you send the real chapter now, please?" Or, "Invent a Chinese proverb that sounds authentic. A pig with a cold still makes good bacon." It's funny because your brain wants to make sense of it. The pit is always smaller than the plum. You can use these. I was at a theme park with my kids, and they were like, "Dad, it's hot. I'm thirsty. I want to go home." And I'm like, hey! The pit is always smaller than the plum. And they're just like, perfect. Works every time. It is dangerous to leap a chasm in 2 bounds. But this is my favorite one of all. Make up a prequel for a famous movie. Mr. Smith MapQuests Washington. Snakes in the terminal. There goes Private Ryan. I hope he'll be okay. But my favorite of all from the entire book, this is one that will make me burst out laughing even lying in bed when I think about it, is "We're running low on Mohicans." People are so damn funny. So anyway, so in the new era, this is all very cool. There's a lot going on, but there are also some challenges. One of the things that as a tech critic that I worry about most is in interface design, basically the machines are getting smaller and smaller, but our fingers are staying pretty much the same size. So it becomes an increasing challenge. When I was on the Amtrak yesterday, one of these 7 phones was going off. I'm like, what the? I'm on a train. There's like people like, you know, and I like couldn't find that. There was no labels on the buttons. I couldn't mute the stupid thing. And the same problem happens in software. Every year they add new features to the software we use, and you know, where are you going to put all the functions? You know? This is kind of mean. This is Microsoft Word with all the toolbars open. You have this little tiny area right here where you can type. I will say that has been fixed. This is the current version of Microsoft Word. So I see that they're a sponsor. Yeah, there it goes. Thumbs up. Good job, buddy. Yeah, well done. But in education, it also means that we have more to teach than how to point and click and how to use Google. We have to teach some of the intangible ethical lessons. We have to teach, for example, that nothing ever goes away from the internet. As this guy can tell you, this is Mark Foley, a Florida representative who had a gay sex chat with his 17-year-old intern, not knowing that a chat transcript can be saved and sent off to the media, which it was, and this guy's career and life are finished. We have to teach credibility. We have to teach that not everything you see on the internet is true, a never-ending challenge. We have to teach that to people like me, because I used this as the opening slide in a talk like this for over a year before an audience member came up to me afterwards and said, by the way, you realize that's a hoax. What? Yeah, it's a hoax. That is not an artist's conception of the future computer. That is an exhibit that is currently at the Smithsonian of a nuclear submarine cockpit. It is a Photoshop job, and you, David Pogue, should have known that. You should have gone to Snopes. Snopes.com is the internet clearinghouse for myth and rumor and internet bullcrap. So you can go here and type in any of those things that go around. You know, if you forward this email to 25 people, Bill Gates will send you $500. Sony will send you a free laptop. Obama's a Muslim. There's a boy who's dying of leukemia and wants greeting cards. All, you know, the Neiman Marcus $400 cookie recipe. All that bull is up here, and it actually kind of bums me out because they keep disabusing me of great stuff that I've told my kids because they're so entertaining, like the Great Wall of China is the only man-made object you can see from space. Not true. On 2 counts. You can't see it from space, and it's not the only thing you can see from space. The one about Mikey, the guy from the Life cereal ad, died when he drank Coke and ate Pop Rocks at the same time and his stomach exploded. I got to interview the Snopes guy. On May 2nd, tune into CBS News Sunday morning. It's this whole segment that I did on Snopes and internet rumors, and I was running through this list of common things like this to him and letting this guy say yes or no. And I said, so Mikey died when his stomach exploded? He goes, well, he tells me that he's still alive. That's or how about this? The thing how the Chevy Nova was a big bomb as a seller in South America because Nova means won't go. Not true. Never happened. So anyway, so there's a lot going on. Things seem to come faster and faster in technology. Each one of these things, you know, Twitter, Facebook, everything is another time and money drain. The people who are mostly infatuated with this stuff are like geeks in the media. Normal people take a lot longer to come around to it. Nobody expects you to adopt all of it. On the other hand, it's a good idea to keep your eye on it to see what's going to be useful in the long run. And put another way, the pit is always smaller than the plum. Thanks very much. So, I couldn't help noticing that by pure accident there's there's a keyboard here. And I spent the first 10 years of my career as a Broadway conductor and piano player. And people say, do you still keep your toe in that business? And the answer is yes, I sort of do. I write new words to old melodies about the tech industry. Would you like to hear one of these things? Okay. Yeah, as if you had a real choice. Okay. All right. Okay, so this is the tech support song. Or maybe we should do the oh, okay, there we go. Okay. Hello, voicemail, my old friend. I've called for tech support again. I ignored my boss's warning. I called on a Monday morning. Now it's evening and my dinner first grew cold and then grew mold. I'm still on hold. I'm listening to the sounds of silence. I don't think you understand. I think your phone lines are unmanned. I punched every touch tone I was told, but I've still spent 18 hours on hold. It's not enough, your software costs too much, and it's the ugliest thing alive. It erased my drive. I'm listening to the sounds of silence. In my dreams I fantasize of wreaking vengeance on you guys. Say your motorcycle crashes, blood comes gushing from your gashes. With your fading strength you call 911 and you pray for a trained MD. But you get me, and you listen to the sounds of silence. For this one, I'm going to need the new Apple Music Stand Pro. Yeah, it's only £5 or 12 if you install Microsoft Word. No, just a joke, just a joke. Okay. Oh, he's texting anyway. Okay. So this one is a tribute to it's a medley of 3 songs which are all a tribute to the history of downloadable stuff from the internet, downloadable movies and music and TV shows. It goes like this. It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. The record store is closed for the night. So I fire up the old iTunes music store, and soon I am feeling all right. Yikes. It's about to fall. Okay, there we go. I know Steve Jobs can find me a melody with $1 pricing that rocks. I can type in a track and get album names back while still in my undies and socks. Sell me a song, you're the music man. My iPod's got 10 gigs to go. Yes, we might prefer more compatibility, but Steve likes to run the whole show. I heard Desperate Housewives was great last night, but I ate a bad piece of cod. As I threw up my meal, I said, it's no big deal. I'll watch it tonight on my pod. And now all of the networks are joining in. $2 a show without ads. It's a business those guys always wanted to try, but only Steve Jobs had the nads. Sell me a show, you're the TV man. Steve's got the first TV store. Yeah, the DVD costs less per episode, but who watches those anymore? They say we're young, don't watch TV. They say the internet is all we see. But that's not true, they've got it wrong. See, all our shows are just 2 minutes long. Hey, times can only stand to lose. If all the papers go away, how will we learn the stories of the day? Dude, we got YouTube. Make that GooTube. See, because Google bought YouTube. All right. And now, finally, ladies and gentlemen, a tribute to the... Let me just do this thing again. This is not going my way. So finally, a tribute to the RIAA. This is the Recording Industry Association of America. This is the group that's been suing all the kids for downloading music from the internet. They've sued 75,000 people so far. Young man, you were surfing along, and then dumb man, you downloaded a song, and then young man copied it to your pod, then a phone call came to tell you you've just been sued by the RIAA. You've just been screwed by the RIAA. Their attorneys say you committed a crime, and there better not be a next time. They've lost their minds at the RIAA. Their justice is blind at the RIAA. You're depriving the bands. You've committed a crime. You can't do whatever you feel. Know what? They will sue your butt clean. They say, so what? If you're only 13, and you know what? They were equally mean to an 80-year-old grandma. CD sales have dropped every year. They're not greedy. They're just quaking with fear. Yes, indeedy. What if their end is near and we download all our music? Yeah, that would piss off the RIAA. No plastic discs from the RIAA. What a way to make friends. It's a plan that can't fail. All your customers off to jail. And who'll be next for the RIAA? What else is vexing the RIAA? Maybe whistling a tune, maybe humming along, maybe mocking them in a song. And finally, just one last one. This is probably the most famous one that I did. It was originally a video that I did for the New York Times website. And it was right when the iPhone was about to come out. And I actually went to the Apple store in New York and got people who were standing in line around the block. I actually got people in line to sing lines of this one for the video. It was really funny. And for 7 blissful hours, this was the #1 video on YouTube. Thank you. Thank you. Settle down. Settle down. To show you the power, I mean, everything changes when you're on YouTube. To show you the power of this, I was at an airport I was in Miami trying to get home from a talk, and I was at the end of a long X-ray line and worried about making the flight, and this little Cuban security guard comes up to me and goes, "Oh, you're the guy from the iPhone video. Come, I take you to front." You know, like, it's like, my wife says all my accents sound Indian. I don't get it. Okay. And now the end is near. I'm sick to death of this old cell phone. Bad sound, the signal's weak, the software stinks, a made-in-hell phone. I've heard there's something new, 1,000,000 times more rad than my phone. I too will join the cult. I want an iPhone. Concerns, I have a few. It's got some flaws, we may just face it. No keys, the batteries, no memory card, the battery's sealed, you can't replace it. But God, this thing is precious sweets, a multi-touch iPod Wi-Fi phone. You had me from hello. I want an iPhone. I want to touch its precious screen. I want to wipe the smudges clean. I want my friends to look and drool. I want to say, look now I'm cool. I stood in line and I'll get mine. I want an iPhone. For what is a man? What has he got? If not iPhone, then he's got squat. It's all the things a phone should be. Who cares if it's AT&T? I took a stand, paid $500,000, and got an iPhone. Thanks, guys. Great to see you. We have time if you have any questions. You want to? Yes.
What's your thought of the iPad, especially as related towards education, and also about all the devices you have all running over the internet? Any thoughts about what's going to occur if net neutrality goes the way of Comcast and not what we want to use for broader uses of what's out there?
All right. So first, what I think of the iPad. You know, I hate when Apple comes out with these things because Apple is so polarizing. You cannot use the word Apple or Microsoft in a sentence in the New York Times without getting hate mail and death threats. I mean, people are just so riled up. It's like, you said Apple! I hate you! It's like, what is your problem? It's a gadget. So I was terrified when and typically what happens is Apple announces something and then they don't ship it for a few months after they announce it. So it lets the whole country get their knickers and knots over, you know, whether it sucks or whether it's great or whatever, and the fanboys and the haters are clashing online. And what happens is the most vocal contingent are the haters. And so for 3 months in that interim gap, they're up there saying why the iPhone sucks and why it's going to be a bomb. And then the thing comes out and it's a huge hit, and all those people just evaporate. It's like, where are you? You all went and bought iPhones now. And I knew the same exact thing was going to happen with the iPad. And I had it in advance, and I mean, it's great. It's fantastic, and it's a totally new experience. And you know, you're actually literally handling the internet with your finger. It's just like, it's totally natural. If you think about it, there's nothing natural about the mouse at all. Like, okay, let me get this straight. You're manipulating a box down here on a horizontal plane in order to produce a vertical plane reaction over here. I mean, it's completely disconnected. It's amazing that we got used to it. And you know, touching stuff is just so much superior. So anyway, so it is a big hit. But anyway, so I actually wrote my review. I don't know if you saw this. I actually wrote 2 reviews in the same column for this, and one was just for tech heads and gearheads and the haters, and listed all the flaws. And then the second one was for everyone else that said, but you know what? Never mind, you'll love it, and people do love it once they get their hands on it. So the exact same thing will happen with this as will happen with the iPhone. Already, every electronics company is scrambling to produce something similar with more features and removable battery, and it's the same old thing. But once again, what makes it magic is the apps. I mean, I don't know. First of all, it runs all the iPhone apps. Second of all, this thing. Here's the book, the ebook reader. I'm going to be doing a couple more talks today. I don't know if you saw it in the program, but so you turn the pages like this, and I don't know if you can see it, but I can actually turn the page like slowly, and like, you know, if it's a real page turner, I can go, and then she ripped her bodice, and you know, and in fact, if you look carefully, you can actually see in vertical and upright mode, you can actually see the. I'm not doing it right. You can actually see the words on the other side of the page. You can see through the paper. to the other side of the page there. It's totally cool. So that's the, it's got, let's see, what else should I show? Oh, my kids have been going nuts in this. Now I can't find anything. They've added like thousands and thousands of apps. There's this cool Scrabble game on here where you see the whole board here, unlike the iPhone version. But what's really cool is if you have an iPhone or an iPod, each person gets a companion app called Tile Rack that shows your letters on your iPhone so no one else can see it. You've got the board here, and you each have your own tile rack, and you move your letters around. When you have a word, you flick them wirelessly through space onto the board. It's beyond cool. Shoot, I had this all organized, and I went on a spring break with my kids, and they've downloaded 50 million other things. And this is really cool. This is called Star Walk. And remember I said that because these things have all these new technologies that sense things, they do things that no other computer can do. And this is a classic example. Star Walk uses GPS tilt sensors and everything else. You hold it up to the sky, and you are seeing the stars that you are seeing identified. So it's a window onto, look, as I tilt this, I'm tilting the view. So I'm actually seeing the actual stars that I'm seeing. Can you see that? It's like completely amazing. Anyway, so it's, I mean, how can they do this more than once? How can they invent another completely new category? But they did, you know, and that's Steve Jobs' maniacal genius. Is he like? I mean, who ever thought that we needed something else between a cell phone and a laptop? Seems like we were fine. And now there is something else, and it turns out there are uses for it that aren't fulfilled by either a cell phone or a laptop, and they're selling like crazy. So anyway, what was the second question?
About net neutrality, about the recent court decision that's kind of favoring Comcast, and what do we do for that?
Oh, my God.
Apps are running on it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's bad. It's bad. Like, who elected those justices? Yeah, I don't know. It could get really bad. I don't know what to say. Any other questions? Yes?
When's your next album coming out on YouTube?
My next album. There's a bunch of these on YouTube. Everybody always records them with their cell phones and puts them up there. But I will probably never be able to do an album of these because I don't have the rights to the music. So the RIAA in particular is not thrilled. All right, well, I'll be here the rest of the day. Good to meet you guys.